I would like to show you how I did this picture just a couple of days ago. You can find all the details of this particular picture on my Astro account. So here's my name, and here's a technical card. So you see I got it with a Red Cat from William Optics and Ha-OIII-OIII Pro camera. I took about a bit more than 3 hours of exposure time, and I used an Optolong L-Enhance dual narrowband filter. And that's actually the point. It's a one-shot color camera and a dual narrowband filter, which is letting through basically H-alpha and O3, a little bit of H-beta as well, but the main signal is coming from H-alpha and from O3, and that's what I coded here in orange and in blue. Here's a lot of O3 signal, and here's H-alpha. So I would like to show you how I processed the picture, because many people were asking me, and please be mercy, it's my very first tutorial ever that I show and even try to make, so I don't have a great mic, and I just recorded with the Mac software here. So it's the Mac internal microphone. I hope you understand me quite well. And yeah, so we go over to Astro Pixel processor. I basically set up here, I loaded already all my frames that I have. I have light frames, flat frames, dark frames, and dark flats. So 40 light frames, you can see that here, 40 light frames, 50 flats, 40 darks, 50 dark flats. So it's well enough frames. I don't bother with bias frames because I still have some problems with collecting them with my camera. Together with ECOS, I'm using basically ECOS on a Raspberry Pi. So there are some issues that I have with the bias frames, but it doesn't matter too much. So I got told and also find out that it's working without. So the trick here is when you go to the raw fits tab here, tab number 0, and have a look to the just the normal color picture, changing the debayering algorithm to the standard. So adaptive array disk is the standard setting when you start up APP. Then double click on the light frame, and then it's basically loading the linear frame. I activated the neutralist background here to have it that I can see a little bit better what signal I have. So you see basically everything is reddish. That's how you know it, that's how you want it. The signal is quite good. I didn't overstretch it too much. You can also make it a bit more to the maximum. So it's a nice Rosette Nebula. There's some amp glow visible here. The camera is known for having a quite huge amp glow, but we can even that out with the calibration. There's some noise in here, but I'm still working on those issues. However, that's basically all raw data. Since we want to make an H-alpha O2 composite, we need to process the channels separately. If I would process the picture now, or the data now as they are here without separating channels, then I would get a nice picture, but with the usual red tint of the H-alpha dominated pictures then of this emission nebula. I personally like the Ha-OIII style palette composites, so I like to see it, and that's why I tried it this way, that I first take the channels apart, process them, and then put them together again. So to do that in Astro Pixel Processor, it's relatively easy. You just go to the debuyer algorithm, and then there's in the lower part this Ha-OIII-OIII options here. So you can either debuy as a color image, so it would not much differ from that what we see over here. You can make it just as a mono image, so it's basically turning everything in black and white. And we can extract the Ha-OIII, and we can extract the OIII channels. When I understood it right, it's basically Ha-OIII is extracting the red channel, and OIII is extracting the green and the blue channels, kind of that. So you can also try to do it in Photoshop or whatever. I'm pretty sure there's a bit more math and a bit more sophisticated algorithms behind that. So we just go to extract Ha-OIII, have a look how it looks. So this is basically the Ha-OIII signal, what APP is extracting here. You can also have a look to the OIII channel, how that would look. And it's of course much less signal, so there's the core of the Rosette Nebula is visible like that. Going back to the Ha-OIII here, because that's what is visible quite nice, and can show you that here. So we process first this channel, then we process OIII. I will not show that because it's basically the same as with the Ha-OIII, and then we can combine them afterwards here in this tools section. So APP is quite nicely built. It's just with the tabs, you just follow the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Apparently there's no 7 or no 8. There's then just 9 here at the moment. So, but however, we can then just go to the load tab. As I said, loaded all the frames that I need already. It's assigned also a working folder. You do that when you start APP anyway. Go to the Calibrate tab and choose how you want to calibrate your light frames. We don't have bias frames, so we don't bother with the master bias. Since we have well above 20 frames for each kind of calibration picture or frame, I always choose the average integration mode, and I always choose the Sigma clip as an outlier rejection algorithm. Kappa 3, iterations 1, it's always working fine for me so far. I don't create any rejections maps. I mean, if you want to analyze every calibration frame, you can do that if you're interested, but I don't bother with that too much. So the same is here for the same settings I use for the dark, for the flats, and I create a bed pixel map, so I do that usually. And I gave it a cosmetic correction just for the hot pixels correction. And no, this box is not going away here. Why is it not going away? Now it's gone. Where was I? Okay, here the hot pixel kappa of 3 turned out to work quite well with me. So that it's taking out just a few hot pixels that are left after the normal calibration of the light frames. So that's it here basically in the calibration area, and just hit create masters and assign to lights, and that will take a while, and we will stop recording for that moment and wait until APP finish the calibration job. We did now the calibration. APP was calculating everything now nicely, and there was the gong to tell me it was finished now. So here's still the linear uncalibrated picture. And to see what the calibration did, actually now we can just switch over here from linear to calibrated and see what happens. Loads now. And it takes a moment to load the new image into the image viewer. There it comes, and you see amp glow is gone. The image looks much more even. So yeah, calibration seemed to work quite nicely. So we have now 41 calibrated light frames. then we just go to the next tab, the Analyze Stars, and so you would just now, I basically leave the settings here on the standard settings, and then you just hit Analyze Stars. After Analyze Stars, you just go to the Registered module and just hit here Start Registration. I usually don't bother to change the settings here, not if I don't use images from the same camera from the same night. If you do mosaicing, also mosaics, then you need to check a little bit more the settings here, but we don't do a mosaic, so we can just leave it here on standard settings. Start registration as well. I will do now for the next steps the Analyze Stars, the register things here, start registration, and as a next step I just go to normalize without checking the neutralize background, because even if the tooltip is popping up, then you see, be aware that the background neutralization can suppress nebulosity. So I don't want that my faint nebulosities here are suppressed by this, so I usually uncheck this, and then I say I normalize my lights. So the star analytics, analyze stars thing, registering and normalization I will do now once after the other. And then we see us back once we can start with the integration of the images. So see you soon. Back again. We did now, as I said before, the star analyzing stuff, then the registering of the pictures, and the normalization. So this is the picture how it looks now. I mean, it doesn't really change a lot. However, we go now to the integration tab, because now we want to integrate our Ha-OIII channel here of the 41 light frames. So there are a couple of options that you can also play with. For me, it turned out, at least with this picture here now and with this setup, that I don't need to bother with the LNC algorithms and some other of the settings down here. However, I choose always as the weights for the pictures, or for the integration, the quality turned out to be quite good. So you can also check on the quality of the pictures here. I mean, all these columns are populated now after everything is calibrated, normalized, and so on. But usually, I mean, for this tutorial, it doesn't matter too much. I checked the frames. Most of the light frames are quite nice. There's not much difference from the best to the worst light frame. The stars are round to the corners, so everything is fine here. So I just say the weights for integration is the quality. I integrate on the average as well. Again, I have enough light frames to do average. I always use the full composition mode, so you can also just crop it a little bit and set it to the reference frame, but I choose the full and crop it rather myself afterwards. The pictures are, by the way, all dithered, so I did dithering after each frame when I collected the light frames, so there is a little bit a rim in all directions after the composition. So as I said, I don't bother here with the LNC correction or with the LN correction, local normalization. We don't have a multi-band blending here. Outlier correction or rejection is of course a topic, so I also use here the Sigma clip, just a simple selection here. You can also choose some of the others. There's a very long tooltip about this stuff, so if you hover over that, then you see everything is shortly explained. I also tried a few others, like this LN Windsor clip for some color pictures, but honestly, I don't see so much difference between them, so I just leave it to the normal signal clip. Kappa 3, one iteration is quite nice. It's good enough for this. I don't use any diffraction protection because I don't have diffraction spikes or something like that in here. It's a refractor, so don't need that. And I also don't drizzle the pictures, because the drizzle of the mono channels is actually not really working in APP. If I would have the color picture and not just the HO or 03 channel, then I would maybe use a 1.5 Bayer drizzle here to just increase a little bit the resolution of the picture. And since the camera red cat combination leads to some undersampling, drizzle is quite good to increase the resolution a little bit. However, for this single channel things, it's not working. It creates a strange pattern in the background, so I just leave it here without drizzle. And yeah, that's the settings here. Yeah, quality, weighting, average integration, and so on. And then just hit integrate and wait until the integration result is finished. So that will take in a few minutes again, and we continue afterwards. Integration is finished, so now we can have a look to our result here. Just double click on integration. It's integration number 1, and there we are. So there's a lot of signal that's increased quite a lot. I will show you shortly the linear light frames. That was before. So that's what we had on signal. Yeah, oops, sorry, that is good to fit here. And so our integration signal, the integration is finished here now. A lot of signal. So we just go back a little bit with the stretching, with the auto stretch. But it's a nice result that we can work with for the composition of H-alpha and O2. So this channel I consider for now as finished, so we don't do anything else yet with this. You see here that's a little bit more is left. I mean, I have only a little bit more than 3 hours. Here there's the rim from the dithering, so that we will cut away later. But you see also the stars are looking nice to the corners here. The red cat is really a nice little scope. Here it's very good quality of the stars. There's faint nebulosity visible here in the H-alpha channel. Also here the core looks very nice. Here the dust lanes and the structures here. It's a nice result, as I found. So there's always potential to increase the quality, but yeah, I was quite happy when I saw it the first time. So now we need to do the same steps for the 03 channel, so it will by far not be that much signal. But we need to go back now to tab number 0, to the raw settings, and change the Bayer, the D-Bayer algorithm from H-alpha 03 extract H-alpha to extract 03. And we will get a message that we need to renormalize the images because it's a different signal, and there's also then described what you should do. So you just say, yeah, we want to renormalize the data, say yes, and then we go back to the normalization tab and just hit again normalize lights, and after that we go again to integrate, and we will get a second integration. So we have here now integration number 1, and you see the automatic file name includes H-alpha 03 minus H-alpha, and that is the indication for us that this is the H-alpha channel, and the integration number 2 that we do as the next step will have in the file name Ha-OIII-OIII -03. And those two integrations then we combine afterwards then to a face color image. So yeah, as I showed before, normalize, integrate. Basically, you don't need to choose to change any settings. You just hit integrate again, and yeah, see you when integration number 2 is finished, and then we go to the RGB combination. Damn again. Integration number 2 is finished now as well, and yeah, here's the integration number 1 to see, just to remember how that looked like. H-alpha channel, and here we see now the O3 channel, and yeah, as you see, it's a much less signal, but it's, I find, very nice to see. It is a little bit signal over here in nebulosity as well. And yeah, well, that is now result number 2. In grayscale mono that we now want to combine in the tools section. So now we want to go from grayscale to colors again. So we go to the tools, and there are the things that you usually would use for correcting your image, like remove gradients and light pollution, background calculation, and so on, but that we do later. Calibrate star colors we can forget here because we are working in face color, and that we can't use here. But for us now, the first thing to do is combine RGB again. So we just start this, and as you can see, you don't see that much, it's everything black, but here is written add data and select the ratios per channel. And that's basically doing the trick. So I needed to play around a little bit with this, but I found quite some settings that are working fine, and I will show you. So first is add your images that you want to combine. So we go now to the folder where I have the integrations in, and that is the tutorial folder here. There are the master calibration frames. So we go now to the integrated pictures and choose first the H-alpha channel, which is indicated here by this H-alpha. After the H-alpha-OIII, blah, 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 and then here's H-alpha indicated. So just double click, and it's loading it, and now we need to describe the image or provide a description, and we leave it just here with H-alpha in the file name, so it doesn't matter too much. You can also type in whatever you want, and we need to tell what channel that is, and it's basically here we choose then hydrogen alpha. Say OK, and done. So there's our first channel. It's basically for the red channel. So we want to make an RGB picture, so that's the red channel. Since we make an HOO composite, we need to add now 2 times the oxygen channel. So just get this, choose here oxygen 3, hit OK. So that's the second hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3, and we needed a second time here, oxygen 3. Blah, it breaks my tongue, and hit here as well. Okay, so we have it in here. Oh no, I think I did something wrong here. Sorry about that. Need to remove this once more. Hit OK. Load it again. Oxygen 3. And of course we need to say here oxygen 3. OK. Now we have it. H-alpha-OIII-OIII. So everything is set on 0 here, so we don't assign any colors yet. So usually you say H-alpha is red, so we can just move up the red channel to 100. And if you want to make have this blue-green appearance of the oxygen. You just choose green for the green channel and blue also for the blue channel. So now we have assigned RGB, red to hydrogen, green and blue to oxygen. And then you just hit calculate and look how it turns out. And that's basically what you get as a result if you would also combine the whole pictures, if you would not have separated the channels before integration. So it's not really looking that spectacular, but to mimic a little bit this Hubble palette style, I want to have the oxygen channel more in this bluish colors and the hydrogen more in this goldish orange colors. So for this we need to play a little bit around with the channel settings here. And I played a lot, to say. I started a bit with this quite a while ago to experiment in PixInsight with this. So I made some notes from this pixel math and PixInsight, and it turned out that you cannot just say red, green, blue, so you need to combine a little bit better. So you can also adjust some of the other colors to this. So you can basically make a color mixture here. And it turned out that if I give a little bit more green to my red channel, and to be just straightforward, I figured it out and I wrote down everything what I did here. So I made here, I chose here a green value of 42. And when I hit now calculate, then it should become a little bit more orange and more goldish here in the hydrogen channel. So that looks already quite nice. I would like to change the luminance here to 8. So then hit calculate again. So just a tip, just for you, if you play around with the settings, change one value at a time, hit calculate again, see what happens, if you like it, if you don't like it. That you don't change too many settings at one time and then have no idea what you did afterwards. So this is basically the settings that I will leave for the Ha-OIII channel. So this is how intensive the channel will be, so I just leave it with 1. The background I don't touch at all. Red 100, green 42, blue 0. I just don't give it blue to the. I don't give any blue to the Ha-OIII channel, and the luminance I changed a little bit to 8, so that turned out quite nice as a for the Ha-OIII. So for the oxygen, for the green channel, I changed the intensity of this channel to 1.6. I played a bit around, and 1.6 I found, for me and my opinion and my taste, it looked quite nice. So you can also very fine adjust it with the arrow keys. So 1.6 exactly. The red is here in this case on 0, the green on 100, and I just give it a bit of blue, so I pushed it up to 66. But the luminance I also leave on 0 here. Then going down to the, I can also just hit calculate. Sorry, I said change one setting at a time, but now I do it exactly the other way around. But the point is I did it before quite often. So now it looks greenish, but we still don't have any blue in there. And this is coming now here because we also need to intensify this channel a bit more. So we give it here 2. I pushed it up to 2 here. No, but it was a bit much. So, and then fine adjust with the arrow keys. Zip, 0, 2, sorry, hit calculate, and then we should see an effect already. So we have now much more blue in here. And I changed the luminance as well to 15 a little bit. 15. That's not too much. Okay, calculate. So there it is, and you would say, well, okay, I mean, that's not that much gold and it's not that much blue. But what we did not do yet here is taking care of this side of the of AstroPixel processor. Oops, I hit something. What happened now? Yes, I hit the button that I wanted to hit. It's the saturation checkbox. I take it out one more time because it's basically not very saturated yet. But this is the preview settings here, and you can just hit activate the saturation again, and then you, of course, see that there is quite a lot of blue now, and we have nice orange HIFR areas here. So that looks pretty nice to me. You could try to tweak the settings here a little bit more to get more blue, a bit more goldish. It's basically up to your taste. I took this as a starting point for Photoshop because in Photoshop I have much more control over the color channels and can mask the picture, what you can't do yet in AstroPixel processor. So I'm quite happy now with the RGB combination settings. So this is what I use for this picture. Maybe another picture needs some other values, but for this turned out quite nice. So you just hit create, and it's asking you for providing a file name. I just leave it like it is. It's a standard combine RGB image. Just hit OK. It's creating a FITS file. And you just cancel this here and go out of this dialog. You can just load then your new file and try to tweak it a little bit more on the preview filters section. So there you also need to be very careful with the sliders here. There are the values 1 to 3 on all those things, and it's very coarse adjustments. So you don't want that, so you can change all settings to 4. And if you change it to 4, then you can make more subtle changes and try a little bit. So just go through this from the upper to the lower. We can also just neutralize the background now. We can deactivate it, and we also see more the gradients, and we see that we still have some issues in this image from light pollution and some gradients. Maybe there's also my flat frames were not that perfect, so I think there's still a little bit gradients from my flat frames, but the flat frames did not entirely removed. So I push a little bit the stretch. It's also just completely up to your taste what you want to see. We can push it to the maximum now. I mean, we just show the extreme to show that's not completely even. So I think this is here from the flat frame, and it is not that perfect. But never mind, we can just get rid of this when we go to the remove light pollution thing. So you can also change the saturation and also the saturation threshold. Saturation threshold, I go back a bit that we see it also in the background a bit more. Push the saturation a little bit. I like usually a value about 20-25. I'm quite happy with this. Usually with most of the pictures, I like saturated pictures and I like vivid pictures. So just keep it with this, and then you see here all this gradients, and there's still some odd stuff. I think this is also not really nebulosity. There's something still not right. There's some nebulosity. That's our iris nebula. There are some faint things. There's something going on, but this is all meh. So we just go to remove light pollution here. Yes, I want to work with the loaded frame. Needs a second to adjust itself. And then here it's you see the background materialization is also gone again to help you with the calibration. So usually I pick some corners, so you need to draw at least 5 small area boxes, and this rim is from from the dithering, so I just go off a little bit this and just choose in the corners a few boxes. Try to avoid the nebulosity, try to avoid bright stars. So I have 4 now, so there's already a little bit of gradient in, so I also put one here. And then just hit calculate and see what happens. It's better to go step by step and just try a few boxes and then try a few more. So then do it now here, have 4 now here. Go along the rim first, see what happens. Avoid the nebula. We can see, go in here a bit, so, and then just calculate again. Don't worry if the boxes become yellowish or reddish. It's if they are red, then maybe the gradient is just too strong between one to another box. It's maybe not liking that. That doesn't matter. It was just green, now it's red, so it's I don't bother too much with those things. There's some structure in here. I think this is not right here. So just a few more boxes. So there's some nebulosity going on here, there, but also from the pictures I know from other people, there's basically a gap here. So I just draw another box in here, maybe there, a little one. So we try to refine our background model, or this light pollution model a bit better. Just go to calculate and see what happens now. And so it looks not too bad. So there's maybe a little bit stuff going on in here, maybe a bit there. Looks quite good already. Maybe put another box in here. There's something, some structures, maybe a small box here. And I mean, remember, it's completely overstretched. No? It's on maximum, so that's not. Oops, that was a big one. You can just go undo and make another one here. There's a little bit of brownish gradient in here. Small box in here. Don't know what that is. Here it looks not so great to me. Just calculate once more. I mean, the more boxes you draw, the longer it takes to calculate the background or the gradients. Yep. I think it really can. Yeah, it's quite nice. Yes. Maybe put one small in here and there. I think that's quite okay. So maybe small in here. There's something brownish still. Okay, I think we're fine with this. Calculate once more. And then we can also have a look how that looks with not so much overstretching. As I said, I don't like that here too much. So now we go just one step back in the stretching, and then you see it's looking quite good visually. Yeah, that's okay-ish. Yeah, I think for now that will do. You can also, by the way, check how your model of the gradient is looking like by just hitting this button, show correct image, and now it's showing the correction model. So that's basically what we subtracted from our image. Just click that again, and then you see the image again. So you can of course refine it much better, and for this, just to show how it works, it will be fine enough. So just hit OK and save, and in this case the dialog is the window is closed. It's asking you to save the corrected image. It gets the light pollution correction, and it's somehow also doing directly a background calibration of the image. So just say OK, Fits file, yes, okay. And there's the gong, just to make sure that the right picture is loaded. And it does a background calibration directly, but to be sure, I just do it again to have an accurate background calculation. So I just look for a small corner where there's kind of neutral background between the stars. Don't hit the stars, don't want that. So it's just a small area of the sky where there's no nebulosity, at least where we think there's no nebulosity, where there is just neutral background. So we need 4 areas at least. So there's a nebulosity here. So we have now 4 boxes. You see also there's quite a bit graining still. We need to do something still with the image. It's not perfect yet. Then again, the same like always, calculate and see what happens. So that looks okay to me. Usually there's not that much happening. Now and then you see a small effect, but that's basically because I always do it. Same, okay, fits file, okay, and that looks good to me now. We just choose a stretch what we can work with this. I did not really understand everything here with this settings. I usually go for a stretching that gives me a nice histogram, a little bit decoupled from the left rim. You can also try to tweak it a little bit here with this slider here. So don't overdo it. Go a bit to the right. See what happens. You see it's moving usually a bit. So you move the the darker areas a little bit closer to the histogram. So it looks quite okay to me. Maybe a little bit back again, so that we don't clip anything here. So, but there's not so much difference anymore. That looks good to me. Let's give it a little bit more. So I think that's a nice image we can move to Photoshop to tweak it a bit more and pull out colors and get rid of some noise and so on and so on. So basically that's the first step. You can also just completely after your taste play with the saturation, play with the saturation threshold. You can maybe give the saturation threshold again 0.2. That also turned out to be quite nice. So then we get rid of a little bit saturation here in the background. It was maybe a little bit too much, maybe 15, 16, 15, whatever. Then we get back a little bit more of this faint nebulosity in here. Yeah, but it looks okay. It's quite okay. Maybe try this here once more. We have this 15 0 days. But it's about 20 0 days. No, I guess I'll go back to 15 again. And do the rest in. I'd rather do the rest in Photoshop. Yeah, it's basically it's a decision that you need to take. I mean, what do you like more? What do you like less? So it's everyone sees these things a little bit different. So if you're happy with this picture so far and you don't want to do anything, as I said, you can also play with this HSL selective color settings here, but I never really liked it so far. I basically do this stuff in Photoshop and moved it over here. So for Astro Pixel Processor, I would say we are finished for now. This looks nice. We have some nice blues. We have some orange around here. So we save it as a TIFF. Just hit here over save. Give it a name. We just just give it now a proper file name. Just call it sh2 sharpless 2. It's 275, the number, and you can also say Rosette, Nebula, and it's an Ha-OIII fails color composite, whatever you want to. I'd say OK. Now we want to have it as a TIFF file because Photoshop can't handle fits. Hit OK. Just leave it in this sRGB color space. I don't know if it matters if you put the 4.0 or 2.1. I just leave it with this. Just hit OK. Then choose 16-bit image, and be careful here. OK and cancel turn around. So the first times with the APP I always hit cancel with this dialog. So hit OK here. So now it's saving the TIFF image, and that's what we then open in Photoshop, and that I will show in the second part then. Thanks for that, and be mercy, it was my very, 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 very first tutorial ever. See you later.